Welcome to the deep dive, where we cut through the noise and get straight to the strategic signals that actually matter. Today, we're tackling a really critical problem. In this race for digital visibility, way too many organizations are, well, fighting yesterday's battle with yesterday's weapons. The digital landscape has fundamentally shifted, and if you're still optimizing solely for metrics that, were dominant 5 years ago, you're pretty much guaranteed to fall behind.
Right, and this isn't just about incremental gains. We're talking about foundational business health here. Organic search still drives a massive, 53% of all trackable website visits. And the whole SEO market is projected to hit nearly $107 billion by 2025. Competing effectively in that arena means you have to know which authority signals are truly moving the needle for rankings, for conversions, and, well, ultimately for sustainable business outcomes.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've basically distilled this mountain of data down to 5 essential interconnected authority metrics for modern SEO and, importantly, AI visibility. These aren't vanity metrics. These are signals of genuine credibility that search engines and large language models are prioritizing right now.
Exactly. So our roadmap today covers domain authority and domain rating, the rising importance of brand mentions, the critical EEAT quality framework, organic traffic engagement, and then this sort of non-optional metric now, LLM visibility and AI citations. Let's start with the foundation, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that. That foundation really begins with the classic competitive measures. Domain authority, or DA, that's Mazda's score based on, I think, 40-plus factors, and domain rating, DR, which is Ahrefs' metric focused purely on backlink profile strength. They've been around forever, it feels like, but the nuance is what really matters now.
Yeah, the key nuance is recognizing how they work together as competitive tools. Even though Google doesn't actually use these proprietary scores directly in its algorithm, DA gives you a broader picture. It incorporates things like MozRank and MozTrust, which are essentially measures of link equity and kind of global site trust. DR, on the other hand, is purely about link authority, and crucially, it's logarithmic.
The logarithmic, okay, that's a term people often just gloss over. What's the practical implication of DR being logarithmic for, someone trying to grow their site?
Well, it fundamentally changes how you benchmark yourself. Moving your score from, say, DR10 to DR20 might require acquiring, 10 high-quality backlinks. But jumping from DR70 to DR80, that might require 100, maybe even more, because the growth curve just gets exponentially steeper. So this means if your direct competitor is sitting at DR75 and you're down at DR40, you just can't use linear growth projections. It's not realistic. You'd need a seismic shift in your link strategy to even think about catching up.
I see. And given that something like 70% of all clicks go to the top 5 organic results, knowing your competitor's DR is, well, essential for setting realistic goals. So the takeaway isn't really to optimize for the score itself, right? It's more about using it to benchmark and guide the quality of the incoming links you're trying to get. That idea that a single backlink from a DR90 site can outweigh 100 links from those low DR blogs, that really hits home.
It absolutely should. It should drive that prioritization of quality over quantity every single time. And speaking of the quality of links, the next metric is actually challenging the primacy of the traditional backlink itself.
Right. Here's where, for me, it gets really interesting. Brand mentions seem to have emerged as maybe the single most powerful authority signal in the current ecosystem.
The data is just undeniable. A recent Ahrefs study showed brand mentions had the strongest correlation. I think it was 0.664 with overall search and AI visibility. That's actually a stronger signal than traditional hyperlink backlinks. It's pretty significant.
So wait, the algorithm is smart enough now to infer authority and intent, even without the actual tag, the hyperlink.
Yeah.
Why does an unlinked mention on, say, a forum or in a press piece suddenly carry so much weight?
Well, it's an evolution, really. It's driven by Google's constant need to fight manipulative link practices. Search engines now treat these unlinked mentions, whether they're on social media, in press releases, news articles, as implied links. When established high-authority entities reference your brand naturally, just in conversation or text, it signals genuine social proof. And that's almost impossible to artificially scale, unlike old-school link buying. This process also builds much stronger entity recognition for your brand. Basically, the search engine starts seeing you as a concrete, trustworthy thing in the world, not just, a collection of keywords.
That sounds like a potential game changer, especially for startups, because it shifts the focus maybe away from purely technical SEO and, frankly, expensive manual link building towards more strategic thought leadership and digital PR.
It absolutely does. The really savvy companies are now tracking mention velocity, so the rate at which their brand mentions increase as a core KPI. Think about it. One well-placed mention in a Tier 1 publication like TechCrunch or Forbes, which often doesn't even link out directly anymore, can drive dozens of secondary mentions and organic backlinks. That could be worth months of traditional outreach work. It really forces your content and PR teams to uh, unify their strategies. They have to work together.
Okay, moving on to that fundamental quality framework. EEAT, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. The addition of experience back in 2022 signaled a pretty significant move by Google, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That addition was, many believe, a direct response to the massive influx of AI-generated content we started seeing. EAT is now arguably the primary defense against this flood of shallow, often just rehashed noise. Google is clearly doubling down on human contribution.
So let's break that down. What is the algorithm actually looking for in these 4 different areas?
Okay, yeah. Let's start with experience. The algorithm wants proof of first-hand knowledge. That means things like proprietary research, unique data you've gathered, insights that only come from direct involvement, like maybe a specific founder story or a unique case study with real results. Then there's expertise. This is about demonstrated knowledge. Here, algorithms look for professional qualifications, publication history, and how often you're cited by other authoritative peers in your field.
You know, the focus on experience is actually quite encouraging. It suggests that maybe a small team's unique proprietary data or even just personal anecdotes about solving a niche problem, that actually matters more now than just hiring some generic content farm to churn out 20 surface-level articles.
That's precisely the heart of the EEAT update. It levels the playing field a bit, rewarding genuine insight. Next up is authoritativeness. This is more about external recognition. How is your brand or author perceived? This gets measured through things like peer endorsements, awards or prizes, and general reputation scores influenced by the quality of high-profile entities linking to you or mentioning you. Are the known thought leaders talking about you?
And finally, trustworthiness, which I understand Google kind of views as the linchpin holding the whole framework together.
It really is the most critical pillar. Trustworthiness covers both technical trust, like do you have HTTPS? Is your site mobile-friendly? Basic stuff, but important. And crucially, content trust. Are your claims accurate? Are you citing original sources properly? Are you linking to actual SEC filings or government data, or just linking to another blog that summarized that data secondhand? Transparency and accuracy are absolutely paramount here.
Okay, so practically speaking, for someone listening, this means every single piece of content really needs a detailed byline, linking to an author bio that clearly establishes their EEAT for that specific topic. And maybe don't be afraid to use those personal pronouns I and we to show actual human involvement.
Exactly. And schedule regular EEAT audits, maybe every 6 months. Keep an eye on your organic traffic growth, sure, but especially watch metrics like time on page or engagement time. That directly reflects whether the reader found that human experience valuable.
That actually brings us perfectly to the next metric, organic traffic quality and engagement. Because let's be honest, raw visitor numbers are a complete vanity metric if everyone just bounces off the page in 3 seconds. We really have to track quality, not just quantity.
Precisely. I mean, if your conversion rate from organic is, say, 0.1%, what actual value are those 10,000 visitors bringing to the business? It's negligible. We have to look much deeper at the engagement patterns that prove your content delivers genuine, satisfying value to the user.
So what are the specific metrics within analytics we should be focusing on that signal true authority and value?
We're getting really focused on what the visitor does once they arrive. Average engagement time in GA4 is essential now. It measures active time, indicating depth and relevance. Pages per session is another good one. It shows you offer value beyond just that initial landing page post, which is how you build real topical authority across your site. And of course, always track your organic CTR, your click-through rate. If you're consistently above that sort of 2% to 5% average, it suggests your meta titles and descriptions are effectively attracting qualified, relevant clicks from the SERPs.
The business outcome seems crystal clear then. 1,000 engaged qualified visitors who maybe convert at 5% matter infinitely more to the bottom line than 10,000 drive-by visitors who bounce immediately.
It's all about the impact per visitor, definitely. And here's a fascinating little connection point to the future. Some early data suggests that users coming from AI tools like ChatGPT actually demonstrate higher engagement rates than typical Google searchers. So optimizing for this depth of engagement now means you're effectively already preparing your content for the next frontier of traffic sources.
That focus on deep engagement is so critical because it's exactly what the next generation of algorithms, the large language models, are feeding on. Which brings us neatly to arguably the biggest shift of all: LLM visibility and AI citations. The seismic reality we really have to face is that AI visibility is simply non-optional now. Some projections show large language model traffic could completely overtake traditional Google search as early as 2027.
Yeah, it presents, well, it's an existential threat for some, but also a tremendous opportunity for others. Let's face the threat head on first. Some studies, like one from early 2025, showed that around 73% of AI search queries result in 0 clicks to the source websites. If the AI doesn't cite you in its generated answer, you are functionally invisible to that user for that query. That's the old 0-click problem on steroids, essentially.
Okay, but if 73% of queries result in 0 clicks, isn't this just a massive threat to publishers? How significant is that 3.2x trust score increase you mentioned that comes with being cited compared to the immediate loss of traffic right now?
Well, that's a really crucial question, and it forces a shift in perspective. The significance lies in the long-term impact and what you might call brand memory, the sort of invisible influence. While those immediate clicks might drop, research does show that being cited as an authoritative source significantly increases your overall trust scores by about 3.2 times within that AI ecosystem. What's more, users often mentally bookmark the name of the brand or entity cited. They might not click right then, but they often research you directly, maybe days later. We saw one case study where a cited brand saw its search impressions jump 54% over 3 months, even while direct clicks from search actually dropped 15%. So visibility and influence go up even if immediate traffic dips. It creates this valuable passive brand awareness.
Interesting. So the objective really shifts from just ranking for a keyword to becoming the trusted entity that the AI chooses to cite. We have to talk about LLM seeding here, and that backlinko example seems perfect for illustrating this point.
Absolutely. If you ask ChatGPT something like, what are the best resources to learn SEO in 2025? The AI frequently cited backlinko, maybe even twice in its answer. And this happened even though backlinko wasn't necessarily ranking in the traditional Google #1 spot for that exact query at that moment. They were cited because of their established brand authority, their reputation, their consistent EEAT signals across multiple high-quality sources that the LLM had ingested and learned to trust. That's strategic AI visibility in action.
And tracking this requires specialized tools now, right? Because the citation patterns can vary wildly between different AI models. You can't just rely on standard Google Analytics anymore.
That's right. You really need tools that specifically monitor how your domain and content are being perceived and used by individual models. Think ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Google's own AI modes. You need to track your share of voice, your citation frequency by platform, because the way, say, Google's AI mode processes and cites information might be quite different from how an independent chatbot like Claude does. It's definitely a complex new monitoring layer we all need to add.
Okay, so what does this all mean? When we pull it all together, the common thread here seems crystal clear. All 5 of these metrics we've discussed are deeply interconnected, and they all measure genuine, hard-to-fake authority.
Exactly. They create this powerful compound effect. If you focus strategically on improving your EEAT, maybe by adding unique proprietary data to your content, that naturally increases the quality, which often leads to more organic brand mentions. Those mentions, in turn, can subtly boost your domain authority or rating over time. And all of those positive signals simultaneously tell the large language models that you're a reliable, citation-worthy entity. You're essentially building authority across the entire digital ecosystem, not just optimizing for a single ranking factor in isolation.
Right. Okay, let's give the listener a quick, actionable 90-day roadmap based on maybe the highest leverage actions they can take.
Okay, sounds good. Let's say month 1. Focus on baselines and quick wins. First, establish your current DADR baseline so you know where you stand. Set up Google Alerts or maybe a tool like Brand24 to start tracking mention velocity immediately to see what's being said. Add those detailed author bios to key content. Make sure HTTPS is secure. And crucially, audit maybe your top 20 existing content pieces and update them with clear first-hand experience markers and any unique data points you have. Get those basics solid.
Good start. And month 2.
Month 2. Move towards sustainable processes. Start implementing an EAAT-focused content workflow for all new content creation. Make it standard practice. Maybe launch a couple of small, niche digital PR campaigns. Target authoritative sites in your space, but make sure your pitch is genuinely useful. Maybe it highlights a unique data set you have or some proprietary research findings. And go back and optimize your existing high-traffic pages specifically for deeper engagement, improve scannability, maybe add useful internal links to keep the reader exploring your site's expertise.
Okay, makes sense. And finally, month 3 is where we really connect it all back to business results.
Month 3, strategic measurement and connection. Create a single dashboard, even a simple spreadsheet, tracking all 5 of these core metrics monthly. See the trends. Then start actively trying to connect improvements, like a noticeable increase in citation frequency in AI tools, or a jump in mention velocity directly to actual downstream results like organic traffic growth and, most importantly, conversion growth. You need to demonstrate the ROI of building this genuine authority.
It really hammers home that authority is no longer some optional nice to have.
Yeah.
It's the core differentiator that likely determines whether companies survive or scale, especially with that SEO market climbing towards, what was it, $107 billion. Focusing strategically on these 5 areas really does seem to create compound growth that becomes incredibly difficult for any competitor to just replicate quickly.
Absolutely. And maybe here's the final provocative thought to leave everyone with. This big shift toward AI-driven search means that even if your immediate organic clicks decrease sometimes because of zero-click answers, your overall invisible influence and your brand's memory trace are actually growing significantly if you are the one being consistently cited by these LLMs. So if authority is increasingly being measured by whether an AI chooses to cite you as a trusted source, how fundamentally does that change the purpose, the very intention behind every single piece of content you create from now on?
That's a powerful question. It demands that every article, every data point, maybe every insight we share is designed not just to rank in the old way, but to be the absolute best, most trustworthy citation source in its category for an AI. Rethink your entire content purpose in light of that AI citation shift. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive. Now go apply this knowledge.